Good morning, guys. I'll get to the point right away. I'm retiring for good. I know the process was a pretty big deal last time, so when I woke up this morning, I figured I'd just press record and let you guys know first. So I won't be long-winded. Like, you only get one super emotional retirement essay, and I used mine up last year. So really thank you guys so much, to every single one of you, for supporting me, my family, my friends, my teammates, my competitors. I could go on forever. There's too many. Thank you guys for allowing me to live my absolute dream. I wouldn't change a thing. Love you all.
Tom Brady in the news breaking business, announcing his retirement a second time from the NFL. You see this tweet and graphic put out by the Pro Football Hall of Fame. His resume truly impeccable. I can't even list it all off because it will take too much time. 15 Pro Bowl selections, won the Super Bowl 7 times. Just the short list of a long list of accolades that Brady racked up during his career. We now bring in our GM, Rick Spielman, to the fold. Rick, the announcement this morning when Brady put out that tweet, what was your first reaction?
Probably like most people, is this real or is this not real? He came out last year. It sounded like he was very sincere in that video, but until we don't see him in a uniform next year when week 1 kicks off in the NFL, I'll hold my breath a little bit. But I do think if this is true, that he had just an unbelievable, remarkable career that may never be matched again.
A career with a lot of numbers, a lot of opportunities to just be able to rack things up. You, when you were in Miami, had the opportunity in 2000 to draft Tom Brady. Why did you not make that move?
We were pretty filled at the quarterback position at the bottom of the 7th round, so we thought maybe we'd take a swing at him as a college free agent, just a camp arm to get us through. And but it's incredible where he was drafted and the career he ended up having. And I always say, just like on some of the guys that I have hit on in the later rounds, if I was that smart, we would have drafted him a lot earlier. But Tom Brady defied all the odds coming out of Michigan. No one had him up there. And for a guy that was drafted where he was drafted to go on and be the greatest of all time, it's an incredible story.
During that pre-draft process leading up to it in 2000, did you guys meet with Brady and get the chance to chop it up with him?
No, I can't recall if we met with him. I think we saw a picture of his body at the combine at the time. It felt that he would probably have a great career on CBS HQ in the future after he got cut from camp. But no, just in all kidding aside, no, I don't recall meeting with him. I do recall scouting at him, and the biggest thing was how talented was his arm, how athletic was he going to be. A lot of teams had him as like a late round, take a flyer on and see what happens. And New England struck gold and hit on the probably the greatest quarterback to ever play the game.
Seeing from where he started with those humble beginnings to then now becoming potentially the greatest ever to do it at that quarterback position, how do you even put that into words, that maturation and that improvement that he showed?
You can't. I wish that you can say you can even write this in a movie script, but you can't do that because no one would believe it was real. And it was some kind of Fantasyland script on Hallmark. But it's incredible what he was able to do, and I don't think that'll ever be matched. And if you look at all these young quarterbacks today, we're talking about Burrow and them, and are they going to be a Tom Brady-like career? Well, we won't know that for another 20-some years because I don't see anyone ever playing at this level and at this age where he retires and was still playing at a high level at 45 years old.
From your perspective, when you're in the front office and you have a QB and you have someone like Brady who just provides so much stability to the franchise, how much easier does that make your job as you then go to fill out the team knowing you have that QB in place?
Well, it's a lot easier to find an offensive guard or a linebacker than it is to find a quarterback. And everybody's chasing every year. Teams that don't have quarterbacks are chasing that player that's going to be the next Tom Brady. And so that's what you're going to see in this year's draft again. There's never, ever be 32 teams that are totally satisfied with their quarterbacks. So there's always going to be that pursuit and chase. And if you're blessed and fortunate enough to get a Tom Brady type talent, which is to me a once in a lifetime type talent, then you've struck gold.
Tom Brady going into retirement now puts a big question mark for the Bucs, number one at QB, and assuming a lot of teams also around the league who thought that maybe they could have a chance to get Brady. But you look at that Bucs roster, they've got my guy, the Gator, Kyle Trask, at QB, but you put on your GM hat in this situation. First off, the division in the NFC South not killing it when it comes to QB play. But for Tampa, where do they go from here now at that position?
Well, for your sake, Zach, I'm trading him to Carolina, so you can have him up in Carolina, Kyle Trask, which I know you'd be very excited about. But in all seriousness, they have to resolve that quarterback now. But first, they have to get an offensive coordinator. So there's a lot of movement and a lot of change going on in Tampa right now. And where they're picking in the draft, I don't think they're going to get a swing at one of these top four quarterbacks, whether it be Stroud, whether it be Young, whether it be Richardson or any of the guys, Levis. They won't get an opportunity to see him. So it'll be interesting to see with their cap space how they're going to move forward. But before they can determine how they're going to move forward, especially on the offensive side of the ball, Todd Bowles has to hire an offensive coordinator. And I wouldn't be surprised if they try to get into the vet market or try to make a trade for someone.
When you look at that vet market or making a trade for someone, who would be a name that you think could fit in Tampa?
The second GOAT of all time, maybe Aaron Rodgers. But I don't know if he would go down to Tampa. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see if Garoppolo, or if they go ahead and try to get a Derek Carr down there. But right now, that is a huge void on that roster, and they have to get a veteran that could come in because they have a good football team. They have some good players on that football team, and they're built to win now. I don't think this is a total rebuild mode, but they're built to win now. So I think they'll start pursuing, once they get that offensive coordinator in place and the offensive scheme and system that they're going to run, then they'll hone in on, I believe, on one of these vet quarterbacks that will fit and be able to run that scheme.
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, there was a lot of Aaron Rodgers talk about not liking his receivers, them being so young and them needing to get ready and adjust to the game. Do you think with that roster over in Tampa, with the Mike Evans, with the Godwin, would that be an attractive roster and fit for Rodgers to potentially even be interested in going to Tampa?
I think from a roster standpoint it would be, but I think it all depends on who the offensive coordinator is going to be. Like everybody, and we've talked about it on yesterday, and I talked about it with Pete Prisco, that seems like the Jets are a natural fit because they hired offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett, who worked with Rodgers in Green Bay. But you have to understand that Aaron Rodgers and how you deal with Aaron Rodgers, because he is also a GOAT, per se, when he retires, and a future Hall of Famer. But it has to be a system that fits what Aaron Rodgers has run for the past, 15, 20 years he's been in the league and been in Green Bay. And when these veterans, no matter how good they are, if you try to force them into a new offensive scheme, usually they're going to struggle. Like when Tom Brady went down to Tampa, what'd they do? They adjusted their offense to what Tom Brady knows and how he's going to be most effective. So wherever Aaron Rodgers ends up, that team's going to have to take that same approach.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.